It is an honor and privilege to be one of the presenters to this 5th Asia Pacific Conference organized by the Asian Association of Interdisciplinary Research Incorporated. To the event organizer, respected heads of offices to various institutions, my fellow presenters, intellectual researchers, virtual audience, a pleasant day to one and all. To begin with, allow me to respectfully introduce myself before the virtual space. I am Theresil Marie Castillo Lopez, one of the brightest faculty of the College of Criminal Justice, University of Bohol. A premier university transforming lives for a great future, anchored on scholarship, character, service. As you can see in the slide, this is the structure of my beloved institution, University of Bohol. We are located at Dr. Cecilio Putong Street, former Maria Clara Street, Tagbilaran City, Bohol. With euphoric emotions to share and present to you the study entitled Stress Management Among Police Officers in Municipality of Maribojoc during COVID-19 pandemic. Stress is one of the most critical problems that human effort entails. Stress can be described as a real or interpreted threat to the physiological or psychological integrity of the person, resulting in physiological and or behavioral effects. Stress is a feeling of mental strain and tension in the psychological sciences. Low levels of stress can be desirable, useful, and even safe. Stress in its positive form can boost biopsychosocial well-being and enhance performance. In addition, positive stress is considered to be an important factor for motivation, adaptation, and response to the environment. However, high levels of stress may lead to biological, psychological, and social issues and even serious harm to people. We may be caught in a situation that induces or causes stress in the person. Thus, police officers can also be vulnerable to stress. The police are the influential institutions of society. Police officers are the most visible arm of the government. They are needed in society at a time of risk, crisis or challenge, public health emergency, whether man-made or natural, such as flu or pandemic. Police departments all over the world are facing unprecedented problems as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, these difficulties are connected to the scope and size of the tasks the police are expected to undertake and to the evolving nature of the role of the police during the pandemic. While health workers are on the front line, the police should be active at every point of the response and remain the main contact with the public to answer their questions and solve their problems. Police forces are plagued by additional emergency missions, implementation of public health directives, including quarantine or travel bans, protecting healthcare facilities, crowd control, assistance in managing mass deaths, protection of national vaccine or other drugs, and even public education and risk coordination. The preparation of the response is not spontaneous, since the police may not have previously collaborated with any of the organizations with which they can coordinate their response plan, including public health, medical officials, and other suppliers of essential infrastructure such as telecommunications, electricity, and water. Moreover, the use of the military to implement emergency measures in many countries presents obstacles to the relationship between the police and the military in terms of authority and accountability. While the role of police in security threats and emergencies is usually well known, it is far from clear during the COVID-19 pandemic, adding another dimension to the complexity of the police response. In fact, unlike public health programs, most of the national response plans to COVID-19 do not recognize the position of the police or make a little mention of it in general and in broad terms. It is commonly stated that in addition to the regular duties, the police have a part to play in promoting the fight against the disease and in protecting people from contamination. This secondary position assigned to the police can also be seen in the additional financial and other forms of help reserved to the police by the government relative to other organizations, in particular those operating on a health response. Hence, they are expected to be a more accessible, interactive, responsive, and dynamic organization of any society. Stress has been found to impact not only the work performance of officers, but also their personal lives and relationships. Since police officers are at the first to respond to potentially traumatic circumstances, their ability to handle stress effectively is vital not just to their mental health, but also to the safety of society as a whole. Research has found that police officer who has trouble dealing with stress display ill-adapted actions and personality characteristics such as remoteness, authoritarianism, cynicism, depersonalization, emotional indifference, distrust, and excessive alcohol usage. High levels of stress can lead to extreme physiological, such as headaches, stomach aches, backaches, ulcers, heart attacks, and psychological, such as anxiety, depression, flashbacks, and panic attacks. Symptoms. Stress among police officers has also been related to violence by the police and can also have a detrimental impact on the law enforcement agency due to prosecutions arising from the performance of these officers. Other organizational consequences include the impaired performance of officers, reduced efficiency, poor morale, poor public relations, labor management problem, late work and missing work, and turnover of officers. This study is therefore designed to determine the existence of work-related and non-work-related stressors faced by police officers in the municipality of Maribojoc, especially during the pandemic, and to provide important information to guide effective strategies that can reduce the impact of these stressors. The purpose of this study is to determine the existence of work-related and non-work-related stressors faced by these police officers in the municipality of Maribojoc and identify the preferred stress management strategies which help to cope with those stressors in times or during a pandemic. As to what are the sources of stress of the police officers in Maribojoc Police Station during the pandemic? What are the preferred work-related stress management strategies adopted by these police officers in Maribojoc? And preferred personal stress management strategies adopted by said police officers. As for its conceptual framework, for its theories, we have 5. First, we have this conservation of resources by Selye. This theory emphasized that stress arises in any of 3 contexts: when people suffer a lack of resources, when resources are at risk, or when people spend their resources without benefit. There are 4 types of resources which proposed: 1. Object resources, such as physical items, home, to include clothing, or access to transportation, situation resources, and even jobs, personal relationships, personal resources, or even skills or self-efficiency and energy resources which promote to the achievement of other resources and even income, credit, or information. We also have psychological stress. According to Lazarus, there are two principles or fundamental to every psychological stress theory. Perception, such as an individual or the assessment of the importance of what is happening to their well-being, and coping, an individual. The effort in thinking and behaving to manage particular demands. Another, psychological stress refers to a relationship with the world that a person considers to be important for his or her well-being and in which the demands are taxed or surpass the available coping tools. And this term applies to two mechanisms according to Crow: as core human environmental mediators and cognitive evaluation and coping. The third theory we have is systemic stress. The popularity of the stress defined or definition in science and mass media is primarily attributed to the work of the endocrinologist Hans Selye. In several animal studies, it has been found that a variety of stimulus events such as heat, cold, and toxic agents applied vigorously and long enough are capable of producing similar effects. In addition to these non-specific changes in the body, each stimulus naturally causes its specific effect, such as heat, vasodilation, and cold vasoconstriction. According to the author, Selye, these unpacifically induced changes constitute a stereotypical, such as a specific pattern of the systemic stress response. Another theory we have is resource theories of stress, a bridge between systemic and cognitive viewpoints. Resource stress theories are not specifically concerned with stress-creating causes, but with tools that sustain well-being in the face of stressful experiences. Several social and personal constructions have been suggested, such as social support, a sense of coherence, toughness, self-efficacy, whereas self-efficacy and optimism, according to Bandura, are the only protective factors. Hardness and sense of coherence are tripartite approaches. Hardness is an amalgamation of three components: the internal discipline, determination, and a sense of challenge rather than a hazard. Similarly, the sense of coherence is to assume that the universe is meaningful, predictable, and ultimately benevolent. A variety of forms have been investigated in the field of social care, such as instrumental, informational, evaluation, and emotional support. And the last point and the last theory we have is the monitoring and blunting theory. The general relationship between the degree of controllability of a stressor and the use of monitoring or blunting techniques can be moderated by both situative and personal factors. In this situation, noxious stimulation can be so severe that blunt strategies such as attention diversion are ineffective in reducing stress-related arousal. As far as personality is concerned, there are relatively stable individual variations in the tendency to use blunting or monitoring while dealing with a stressor. As for its legal basis, UN International Labor Organization Convention number 155, or the Occupational Safety and Health Occupation, is aligned in this study. We also have Republic Act number 11058, an act strengthening compliance with occupational safety and health standards. The last point, the last legal basis, we have Proclamation 922 declaring the state of public health emergency throughout the Philippines. For its input, we have the profile of the respondents and the sources of stress of police officers, their preferred work stress-related management strategies, and personal stress management adopted by the police officers in Maribojoc. The researchers will use the survey, or utilized the survey and quantitative method with the aid of a survey questionnaire to determine the sources of stress and stress management strategies adopted by these police officers or respondents of Maribojoc Police Station during a pandemic. It concerns the situation that remains on the routine of their duties during the pandemic. The method appropriate for the study involves relationships or circumstances which occur, results that are apparent, or patterns that are emerging as they relate to current conditions. Maribojoc, or the Municipality of Maribojoc, is a coastal town in the southwestern part of Bohol. The municipality is 14 kilometers away from the capital of the province, Tagbilaran City, and can take approximately 30 minutes from the capital to the city, which gives convenience to the researcher for gathering the data. Maribojoc, considered a fourth-class municipality, occupies an area of 5,192 hectares, subdivided into 22 barangays, named with San Roque, Agahay, Aligway, Anislag, Bayakabak, Bod, Busaw, Kabawan, Candavid, Dipatlong, Giwanon, Handig, Lagtangon, Lingkod, Pagnituan, Poblasyon, Punsod, Punta Cruz, San Isidro, San Vicente, Tinibgan, and Toril. This is according to the 2007 census and has a population of 18,113. The researcher will utilize the survey questionnaire as a data collection method to gather its data. The questionnaire consists of the profile of respondents in terms of age, sex, civil status, years of service, achievement, sources of stress, work-related stress management strategies, and personal stress management strategies adopted by Maribojoc Police Station. The researcher also conducted pilot testing on 10 personalities of the same socio-cultural profile as to our respondents. So since our survey questionnaire is self-made, it underwent a Cronbach alpha test for reliability. The questionnaire was pilot tested to 10 respondents and subjected to Cronbach alpha. Again, part 1 includes the source of stress, which is 0.916, and part 2, work-related stress or management stress, 0.791, and part 3, personal stress management strategies, which is 0.746, and the questionnaire has passed the reliability test and accepted its value above 0.70. So during in the research procedure under research methodology, the researcher made a transmittal letter which was signed by the Dean of the College, Dr. Shirley Ochea Molina, the Vice President for Academics, Attorney Marlumina Bite, and the officer in charge of Maribojoc Police Station to permit the researcher and allow to distribute the questionnaire to said police officers or respective police officers assigned in the station. For the result and discussion as to the respondents or profile of the respondents, results revealed that the majority of the respondents are the age group of 31 to 40 years old, which yielded 57.1% of the population. Respondents who were male with 66.7% of the population. Respondents who were married yielded 61.9% of the population with 1 to 10 years in service and yielded 71.4% of the population. For the sources of stress of the police officers, results revealed that the three top stressors or sources are spending too much wearing and discarding personal protective equipment, experiencing anxiety, and lastly, being sleepless because of long duty hours, with 3 as a weighted mean. And the 3 last stressors were shifting schedules and work rotations, with 1.24 as a weighted mean, promoting a safer community with 1.24, and lastly, working with public with a weighted mean of 1.14. The overall mean for the sources of stress of police officers yielded 2.23 as the composite mean, which means police officers recognize the sources of stress they are experiencing. For the preferred work-related stress management strategies, results revealed that the 3 highest factors for the preferred work-related stress management are the corporate meditation to improve mental fitness or mentality, with 3 as a weighted mean. And doing morning routine exercises with 3 as a weighted mean, and lastly, the resilience training to reduce the impact of operational stress on health and behavioral outcomes. The 3 items or factors with the least preferred work stress or related stress management are the clear promotional criteria for advancements, with 2.38 as a weighted mean, the professional counseling once a month with 2.29 as a weighted mean, and lastly, relaxation with 2.19 as weighted mean. The overall mean for the preferred work-related stress management yielded 2.60 as the composite mean, which means that police officers fairly recognized the preferred work-related stress management strategies to help them cope with their stress. The preferred personal stress management strategies results revealed that the 3 highest factors for this indicator are engaging oneself in prayers with 3.71 as the weighted mean, taking exercise with 3.43 as the weighted mean, and eating regular meals with 3.38 as the weighted mean. The 3 factor which is least preferred by police officers are preparing for morning and the night before duty with 2.19 as a weighted mean, holidaying with 2.19 also as weighted mean, and lastly, treating oneself to massage, shopping, or watching movies with 2.14 as the weighted mean. The overall mean for these strategies yielded 2.75 as the composite mean, which means that police officers fairly recognize the preferred personal stress management strategies to help them cope with their stress. On the significant relationship between respondents' profile and sources of stress, results revealed that there is no significant relationship between age and the sources of stress among police officers, with a p-value of 0.283, which is greater than 0.05. Hence, the null hypothesis is accepted. Therefore, the work-related stress management strategies are not related to the age of the respondents. On sex and work-related stress management strategies, there is no significant relationship between sex and the sources of stress among police officers, with a p-value of 0.613 is greater than 0.05. Hence, the null hypothesis is accepted. Therefore, the work-related stress management strategies are not related to the sex of the respondents. On civil status and work-related stress management strategies, there is no significant relationship again between civil status and the source of stress among police officers, with a p-value of 0.631 is greater than 0.05. Hence, the null hypothesis is accepted. Therefore, the work-related stress management strategies are not related to the civil status of the respondents. Then, on years in service and work-related stress management strategies, there is no significant relationship between years in service and the sources of stress among police officers. Therefore, the work-related stress management strategies are not related to the years in service of the respondents. So, on the significant relationship between respondents, profile, and personal stress management strategies, results revealed that on the age groups and personal stress management strategies, again, there is no significant relationship between age and the sources of stress among police officers. Therefore, the personal stress management strategies are not related to the age of respondents. On the significant relationship between sources of stress and work-related management strategies, results revealed that there is no significant relationship between the variables with a p-value of 0.055, which is greater than 0.05. Hence, the null hypothesis is accepted. Therefore, the sources of stress are not related to personal stress management strategies. On the significant relationship between work-related stress strategies and personal stress management strategies, results revealed that there is a significant relationship between the variables, with a p-value of 0.273 or negative 0.273 is less than 0.05. Hence, the null hypothesis is rejected. Therefore, work-related stress management strategies is related to personal stress management strategies. As for its conclusion, from the data gathered and presented from the study of the stress management among police officers in Municipality of Maribojoc during the COVID-19 pandemic, the common stressors experienced were spending too much wearing and discarding personal protective equipment, or shall we mean PPE, experiencing anxiety and being sleepless because of long duty hours. To help them cope with their stress or stressors, engage oneself in corporate meditation, morning exercises, and resilience training as a daily routine, as well as engaging oneself in deep prayers and with regular intake of healthy meals, which improves their physical, emotional, and mental condition. Police officers of Maribojoc Police Station fairly recognize these common stress they experience and the things or stress management strategies which help them cope with stress from work-related, non-work-related, and personal stress management strategies. The police force is one who enforces the law. Thus, there are issues pertaining to these police officers. I'm not saying that most of the police officers, but some, where they are involved in scandals, violence, corruption, as well as in murders or heinous crimes, which are even caught in cameras. It is rampant on news the involvement of these police officers in illegal acts, and which It is because of greediness and lack of self-control. Those incidents were caused, or maybe one of its causes, by stress among the respondents. Based on the study presented and with the observation of the researcher, the following recommendations are emphasized: that in every police station, seminars and counseling on psychological, mental, neurological aspects should strictly impose among them. It is not every day that police officers are in a good mental state because of huge workloads, and for the reason that they are also being exposed to life-threatening events. These seminars should at least be held once a year or more to instill discipline, proper work ethics, integrity, and may remind them of the things they took on the oath to be a good public servant. The last point is self-regulatory techniques and exercises to reduce negative thoughts, which enhance sleep, strengthen the use of effective coping strategies, relaxation exercises, to reduce stress with resiliency, to diminish the impact of operational stress, promoting good health and good behavioral outcomes. Showing the references of this study, giving credits to the respected authors in the citation of its context. Ladies and gentlemen, this endeavor would not become possible without the support of the respondents. To give credence with the police officers who, in one way or another, made this study a success. And to God Almighty for this marvelous opportunity. Truly, it is a wonderful experience. Once again, enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.